This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Monday, July 17th, 2023. I'm Kate Sharon. Sports in Indiana equals big business for communities large and small. Indianapolis has become synonymous with major sporting events, largely due to the efforts of the Indiana Sports Corporation. But the impact of sports is spreading throughout the state. Part of that growth is the result of Team Indiana, a not-for-profit association comprised of 24 communities around Indiana that collaborate to bolster sports tourism. The Indiana Sports Corporation was founded in 1979 and was the first sports commission in the nation. Now there are more than 300 across the country. Since the organization's inception, sports and related events have brought in more than $4 billion into the Indiana economy. But with the growing importance of sports in all communities, the ability to land major events has become increasingly competitive. ISC President Patrick Talty.
All corners of the state now compete for sporting events. And the good thing about Team Indiana is that they've come together and they're working as a unit rather than competing against each other. So really what their goal is to keep the events in Indiana, whatever the best community is to host those and not compete. All of those things will help us stay competitive because we have to keep our package at the very top level. And now that we have the bid fund, that'll be able to push us over the edge.
Indianapolis is gearing up for several major events in the coming years, including the 2024 NBA All-Star Game, the 2024 U.S. Olympic Team Trials for swimming, the NCAA Men's Final Four in 2026 and 2029, as well as the NCAA Women's Final Four in 2028. An Indianapolis advertising and PR firm has a new leader at the helm. Hirons promoted Deanna Hayworth internally to CEO, the company announced in a news release Friday. Former boss James Parham is moving on to an advising faculty role and consulting on student-based efforts at Ball State University. Hayworth joined the company in 2000 as a public relations specialist and has excelled to account leadership roles and chief operating officer, the first woman in the company to serve in the role. A new report shows Indiana's tech firms saw smaller investments but more of them in the first quarter. IIB's Alex Brown has more.
Indiana-based tech firms attracted more than $47 million from venture investors in 36 separate deals last quarter, according to a new report by Indianapolis-based TechPoint. The second quarter VC report released last week reveals the ongoing funding slowdown in the tech sector, which began in the spring of 2022, following a record-setting 2021. TechPoint recorded a total of $441 million in total investments in 132 deals for the entirety of 2022 and $958 million in total investments from 57 deals in 2021. The 2021 numbers were impacted by a handful of companies that each landed investments of $100 million or more. TechPoint's Director of Venture Engagement, Roger Schuman, said investment numbers are down across the country, so Indiana falls into that trend. He said the number of tech investments in Indiana is strong, even if the total value of those deals has declined. That's because most of last quarter's investments were smaller sums secured by younger companies. Alex Brown, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
For 25 years, we've had the honor of telling the story of Indiana business. More than 1,300 shows, 8,000 interviews. We've traveled from Valparaiso to Versailles, Fort Wayne to Fort Branch, and everywhere in between. And we are just getting started. Our team is passionate about Indiana business because your story is worth telling. Join us every week as we travel the state to bring you Indiana's story. Inside Indiana Business, 25 years and counting.
Marian University named a new leader on its Ancilla campus in Plymouth. Natalie Tucker will serve as vice president and dean, according to a news release shared Thursday. Tucker currently serves as dean of academics for the college. Tucker will work with the university provost to guide academic programs, intercollegiate athletics, and extracurricular programs. 3 Indiana universities will receive extra monetary support for its student learning improvement projects. The private academic library network of Indiana selected Butler University, the University of Indianapolis, and Wabash College as recipients of its Library Innovation Grant, which seeks to fund the organization's priorities and motivate consortium collaboration. Butler's Irwin Library will develop faculty understanding of AI and create a repository for AI tools and literacy materials. The University of Indianapolis will create ADA-compliant instructional micro-lectures to reinforce class concepts for students. Wabash College's Lilly Library will build a videography studio for hands-on student learning. Northern Indiana police have asked state officials to revoke the license of an addiction treatment center where 3 patients recently died within a week, saying that the less-than-year-old center is endangering its residents and placing a strain on law enforcement. The St. Joseph County Police Department said in a letter to state officials that Sheriff Bill Redmond wants the Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction to investigate Praxis Landmark Recovery's 160-bed facility and request that its license be revoked, the South Bend Tribune reported. The request for state action comes as county police and the coroner's office are investigating 3 deaths and 2 suspected overdoses in the past 2 weeks at the all-male drug and alcohol rehabilitation center, which opened last August in Mishawaka, a city adjacent to South Bend. Indianapolis Indians broadcaster Howard Kellman is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Kate Sharon for Inside Indiana Business, Radio on Demand.